has been floating through the campaign. I hear some candidates take an out-and-out strong statement and say that they're for it, others who are totally against it, is the question of the KXL pipeline. And what's up in the air is, will it actually benefit South Dakota or not? Will it have long-term damage to the environment or not? Is it safe enough to actually build and have this oil go across the state of South Dakota and over aquifers that could be impacted? Yes or no? Do we want the KXL pipeline? We're going to start with Gordon Howe and move the other way.
Well, thanks. That's a great question, and it affords you the opportunity to see just what kind of position we have. But beyond that, how much time do we have to answer the questions? 2 minutes?
2 minutes.
Beyond that, it's going to give you an idea of how candid we're going to be with you, because I realize that the Keystone Pipeline doesn't enjoy huge popularity in Indian country. So I'm going to be transparent and tell you what I think, and that's what you deserve. I support the pipeline, and the reason I do, I would qualify that by saying we must be ensured that it will be safe and safely maintained. That's a given. But now, having said that, let me tell you what I think causes that to be a benefit to South Dakota and what the greater challenge is. The benefit to South Dakota is that we are a state whose #1 industry is agriculture. And right now, the oil delivery is occupying a huge percentage of the rail effort. And so we see farmers and ranchers not being able to get their grain shipped or their fertilizer or supplies transported. And this would create some relief on the rail system in South Dakota. But beyond all that, what we really see is a nation that is inept at developing its own energy policy. We see Mexico and Canada having a comprehensive, safe, and forward-looking energy development program, and we see the United States of America being stonewalled by people who don't believe that we should use fossil fuels. I think we should embrace the use of fossil fuels. Your electricity on the reservation is going to go up exponentially because we have an administration that's held by, right now, a Democrat that is disparaging coal-fired electricity. That will cause your electricity rates to go through the roof.
Senator Pressler?
I am opposed to the pipeline, but I would say with caution that we will need some other pipelines to move the North Dakota oil to refineries rather than railroads. I would say to the shippers of South Dakota that we're about to enter into a crisis. Well, South Dakota will look like Egypt with tiny pyramids of corn all over it by November 20th after the election. But we are so short of storage space and shipping capacity. The Burlington Northern Railroad has done a great disservice to South Dakota. When I was in the Senate, I fought the Burlington Northern and the other great railroads, and we got regulation to require them to ship a certain amount of grain. They have relaxed that and moved their engines up to North Dakota, where it's very environmentally damaging to have those big engines hauling oil. Now, the governor of Minnesota, Governor Dayton, who is a Democrat and partially a Republican, but mostly a Democrat, has said that there are 2 or 3 oil pipelines in existence that can be enhanced to move that North Dakota oil, so we wouldn't have such a demand on the railroads. Now remember, the XL pipeline that we're talking about doesn't move any North Dakota oil. Originally they said they wouldn't move any. Now during this debate they've said, well, we'll move about 25% of North Dakota oil, but they can't because it doesn't mix in. That's Canadian tar sands oil that's being moved through South Dakota. I don't like to criticize Governor Rounds because he's not here. He could be here. But I think he did a very poor job of negotiating for South Dakota, where the pipeline is located, but also we should have gotten much more out of it. South Dakota gets nothing out of the XL pipeline, and North Dakota, and it doesn't do anything for our grain shippers because it doesn't move any North Dakota oil. It just moves Canadian oil, and people should understand that. That's been a misconception, a lie. There are a lot of things in public life that are a pure lie. Pure lies are told, and they're accepted.
Time.
And that's one. But the XL pipeline would not give relief to our grain shippers, which I'm so interested in.
Thank you, Senator. Next up is Rick Wyman with the same question.
Well, I think I was the first candidate to come out forcefully, early on, against the Keystone Pipeline. They have been trying to sell this as a jobs program for the country that would bring energy security to the country, that would make our country more secure overall because of all this oil that, frankly, is going to Port Arthur, Texas, and overseas. And it has nothing, Senator Pressler is absolutely right, and Gordon, you're wrong, it has nothing to do with shipping grain. They've lost the argument on jobs. We're talking 35 jobs, total, permanent jobs. They've lost the argument on energy security. Now they're coming up with this bogus argument about, well, we're going to be able to haul grain. It's baloney. This is foreign oil. It's a big corporation. You've got the Koch brothers invested up there with TransCanada. Okay, and they're trying to sell this to South Dakota and trying to sell this to this country. This is a big foreign oil con job on the American people, and I've been saying that from the get-go. The other thing, I just think we need to be focused on what we can do as a country to invest in renewable sources of energy, and what we can do as a country to figure out how we can conserve what we're currently utilizing in this country. And, that seems to be missing in this debate and in the Senate debate. I'm a big proponent of ethanol. I'm a big proponent of wind energy. I'm a big proponent of conservation. And I have to tell you, I believe that the climate is changing, and we better do something about it. And, I look amongst the people here in this room and in my travels throughout Indian country, and in terms of your overall philosophical, religious views of our connection with Mother Earth. And I understand why you're so opposed to Keystone. You're right to be, and I am proud to be standing on your side in opposition to this pipeline.
Thank you very much, Rick.